Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Shelton, and today we are going to go through some different steps on how to store your clay or your Play-Doh that you made, and then we're going to go through some different techniques you can use when creating your project. So first off, last week I gave 2 different recipes for clay or Play-Doh. I happen to make the salt dough Play-Doh, and I have it in this bag, and it's pretty good consistency. Now, I had to problem solve with mine a little bit because it was a little bit dry in the beginning, so I added a little bit extra water to it to kind of give it a little bit more consistency that allowed it to stick together better. So I have been storing mine in a Ziploc bag. Okay, I made it last week. It's doing pretty well. And you want to keep it in something that is completely sealed. So I have this zipped up. Another option that you might use is like a little Tupperware Rubbermaid container like this. And I would just put it in here, kind of flatten it down. You're also going to want to make sure it's sealed really tight. The air will dry this out and it will crack really easy. So if you have something that's airtight. Another thing that I have is I have saran wrap. Yes, we have this giant saran wrap from Costco. It's huge, but my husband loves this big old thing of saran wrap. So I would just take some saran wrap, pull it out, put my Play-Doh on it, and I would wrap it up really tight. I would get all the edges like this, so none of it is exposed to the air, because the minute it is exposed to the air or the clay is showing and the air is hitting it, it's going to dry out. Okay, so after you have created some sort of storage for your Play-Doh or your clay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to create a project out of it. Now, if you created and made the salt dough or the Play-Doh, you have the option of baking it when you're done. But we're going to talk about the baking directions in a minute. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some different ways to create projects. I left mine white. I did not color mine with food coloring because my plan is after I bake it, I'm going to paint it. So that's why I left mine like this. If you made yours a color, great. So you can create a project and you don't necessarily have to paint yours when you're done. So I'm just going to take a little piece, and really quick before I get started, I'm going to show you some tools I have. I happen to have a rolling pin. This is great for rolling things out flat. Another thing that you can use for a rolling pin is you can use a glass, which I forgot to get out, so give me 1 second. I'm going to grab a glass. But if you have a glass, you have to be really careful. So if you have a glass like this, you can turn it on its side and you can use the glass to roll as well, like this, okay? But please get parent permission, please get some help, because this could possibly break. You could also use a plastic cup if you have a plastic cup, okay? So I also have a knife, a plastic knife. You can use any type of knife you have. Make sure that you ask a parent before you use a sharp knife. This one is not super sharp because it's plastic. And then I happen to have a couple of toothpicks that I have, so I can kind of score and make some designs in here. So those are just some items that I have to kind of get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is, if I have my Play-Doh or my dough in a ball like this, I can take it, and you're going to want to work on a surface that this is going to peel off of really easy. I happen to be working on a table in my house that has metal on top, and stuff peels off of this really easy. It's a table in the kitchen that we use for baking and stuff. You're not going to want to put it on a bumpy surface or surface that has texture, because it's going to stick in the cracks. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to take my rolling pin, I'm going to roll it towards me, away from me, towards me, away from me, Now side to side. I know it's hard for you guys to see the dough because it's not in the camera. I will tilt the camera down a little bit so you can see. So if you can see right there, it's kind of flattened out. Okay, so when I pick it up, it's kind of like a pancake, okay? If you have it like this, you can take your carving tool and you can carve a shape. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna carve a heart. I'll hold mine up in a minute. I'm peeling away the extra. I'm gonna save this. Don't throw this away because you can reuse it. So now it kind of looks like a cookie, okay? If I want to add some stuff to my shape, I can either use my knife or I can use my toothpicks. So I'm gonna put some designs in mine. It's gonna be a little bit hard to see. I'm kind of putting a pattern in mine, and I will hold it up closer to the camera so you can see. So if you can see there, I kind of put some lines in mine. So let's say I would want to make this into a necklace. I'm taking my tool and I'm making little holes so that when I bake this, these holes are left and I could hang this on a necklace if I wanted to. So if you see, okay, I put some holes. Okay, another choice, so I'm not gonna save this right now. I'm going to smash this in with my dough, is I could take my dough and I could kind of roll it in my hands like this. And it's kind of becoming like a hot dog shape. Or if I keep rolling it, it's going to become more like a long snake shape. And I'm just taking my hands and lightly rolling it. If you push it really hard, you're gonna smash it and it's become a flat snake instead of a round snake. And I just keep, like I work on this end, and then I come down here and I work on this end, and it's getting longer and longer, okay? And I can make some things where I take this and I'm curling this around, and this is what we call a coil, okay? So I'm curving this around here. So I have like this coiled shape, like this. Kind of looks like a snake that is curled up, or a spiral, a swirl shape. And you can build on this. You could do we could make another one. And I start by rolling it in the air, in my hands, whichever is easiest for you. I like to get mine started like this. And then I take it on the table and I roll it like this. Okay, and I'm gonna make it long so it makes a big shape. And I'm gonna curl this around like this, coil it, and make a snake. And I'm gonna make a couple of these because I'm going to put together a project. So here I go, I'm gonna roll another one. And my clay is a really good consistency. Like I said, I had to tweak it a little bit, problem solve, because sometimes it gets a little too dry and crumbly. And like a little technique that I did was you can also add just a few drops, a tiny bit of vegetable oil, or if you have olive oil, some kind of oil. And that helps hold it together too, a little bit better. So I'm gonna curve this again. And if you can see, I'm spiraling it. You can hold it up. It's kind of easier for me to do it on the table. And now I am going to kind of connect these. So I have the bottom coil, and this is what we call scoring. So you kind of like lightly carve. It's like roughing the dough up. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same thing to this side. So I'm gonna score it, carve it up. Okay, now I'm gonna dip my fingers in my water and I'm gonna rub a little water on here. Okay, and I'm gonna rub a little water on here too. and it's going to become sticky, like a sticky consistency. You're going to make it like glue. You're trying to make it kind of like Velcro, so they stick together. With clay, you would use slip, which is wet clay, and you kind of use it as glue. I was finding when experimenting with this, it was making it too gooey. So I'm connecting this. I'm going to do the same thing. Take my toothpick, score, which means just like kind of scratch, gently scratch, little rough area. I'm going to do the same thing here because I'm kind of trying to create Velcro. So I've roughed it up. Take my fingers, dip it in my water, put it here. I'm going to dip some more water, put it here, and I'm going to connect it. I want it to stick really well because sometimes what happens when you bake this is it will fall apart if it's not properly. If you just set it on there, it'll break right off after you've baked it. Okay, so I'm kind of making like this little bowl or cup, whatever, container. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to continue to add my parts. When I'm done with this, I'll show you how to make a pinch pot where you can just pinch it together. Oh, see, mine's already falling down, which means maybe I didn't add enough water on it. You can go back and you can take your water and kind of rub it around the edge to kind of create your glue. So I'm going to do another spiral here. Okay, so we kind of have like another kind of snail shape. I'm going to curve in here, dip my hands in my water, just rub it real gently. Some water here to make it sticky. You may want to score in here too. I'm going to go back with some water and create some more. So I'm going to go with my water, rub my water here, squeeze it a little bit to get it to stick. So now I have kind of like this spiral bowl or container. I mean, like you could put little wrapped candies in it. So let's say you had some peppermints that had a wrapper. You could put those in there. I could store my toothpicks in here. So if I had a bunch of toothpicks, after this is baked, I could store these in here like this, and it could hold my toothpicks, all kinds of stuff. Okay. So don't forget to take your water. I'm dipping my fingers in a little cup of water right here and rubbing the edges to keep it together. Now, after creating something like this, you could use some of your extra clay. I'm gonna set this over here, and I can make a pinch pot. So the best way to make a pinch pot is roll this in a ball, get it nice and smooth. Make sure it's not too crumbly. If it's crumbly, add just the tiniest bit of water to it. Okay, so I have this nice smooth ball. I'm gonna take my thumb, put my thumb in the pinch pot. So it's like this, so it looks like I have a fat thumb. Do not poke your thumb through the bottom or you'll have a hole in the bottom. Now I'm gonna take my pinchers, so my hands are gonna be like this, kind of like a lobster claw or a crab claw, and I'm going to gently pinch and turn. Pinch and turn, pinch and turn. And as you can see, it's starting to crack as I'm pinching, and I'm just going to kind of go through and smooth. You're going to use your water again to help smooth when you're all done. So I'm pinching, turning. I'm kind of fixing my little cracks as I go. Pinch and turn. And then eventually I can get both thumbs in here and I can pinch and turn. And I'm kind of setting it on the table because when I set it on the table, it's going to make my bottom flat so that my bowl sits nice. I'm going through and I'm fixing my cracks. Pinch and turn. Okay. Pinch and turn. Okay, so as you can see, now I've created this little bowl like this. Okay. I'm fixing my cracks, dipping my finger in my water and smoothing. And after I've created my bowl, I can use my tools like this. You can use other things that you have at your house too. These are just some items that I had. And you can kind of make designs. So I could maybe put some dots all on mine. I could carve some things with my knife. You want to hold it so that you don't cut all the way through. So if you can see, I've kind of made lines or patterns. You can even take your nails and I could like pinch little bumps like this. Well, that would be more like my fingertip. So I have like something like that. You can get creative. Another thing a lot of my kids like to do when we're making these at school with clay, they like to turn it into a heart. So you kind of point the bottom, you round the top, turn it into a little heart bowl, clean it up. I'm doing this fast for video purposes, but you're gonna wanna clean it up so that you don't have those cracks. Really take some time, smooth it out. Okay. So it's like that. Now, if you are done making your creation and you want to bake it, first I would let this sit out for maybe overnight to kind of get some of the moisture out. And then when baking it, I'm going to kind of show you guys my oven right here. Okay, this is my oven. I am going to, okay, here's my oven. I'm going to put mine on bake like that, and I'm going to put it on a really low temperature, 200. Normally when you're baking something, you guys are going to bake it at 350. You don't want to bake it at 350. And you are going to bake this for 2 hours. That's 120 minutes at a low heat. I have a timer here, but my timer on my oven doesn't go up to 2 hours. It only goes up to 99 minutes. So I'm gonna start mine for 99 minutes and then I'm gonna have to add more time after that. Depends, you can set a timer on your phone, whatever you want. Please, please, please. Sorry, I got really close there. Please, please, please do not do this without parent help. Never ever use the oven or the stove without parent permission. Somebody that can help you because you don't want to burn it. Here is some problem solving techniques for when you're baking it. Okay. I have a baking sheet like this. Sorry, my stuff is over to the side. Okay, so I have a baking sheet like this, but if you don't have anything to put on here, that's fine. But if you have parchment paper, I'm gonna show you parchment paper looks like. It's like this. I have these little sheets, they're already cut. You can also it comes in a roll. It's this really thin paper for baking. Okay, this is so it doesn't stick to my pan. Okay, do not spray the pan with anything. So like if you have Pam or something, don't spray the pan, okay? Because it will make your project greasy and oily. Okay, so I put this on here. If you don't have this, it's not a big deal. You can stick it directly on the pan just before you take it off the pan. Let it totally cool first. If it's hot, it may stick to the pan. So I'm gonna put this like this. I got my little coil bowl that I made here. I'm gonna set that there. I have my other bowl that I made. I flattened it back out and I'm gonna set this there. Okay, and remember, before you bake, get parent permission, turn the stove on. You're gonna set the stove at 200. You're gonna bake for 2 hours. That's a long time. 120 minutes. Okay, if you bake it too fast, it'll burn. If you bake it too hot, I should say, it'll burn. You just really want it to have like a slow cook. Okay, so next week we'll talk about what we do with it after it's been baked. So try some of these techniques. So please remember that you can only bake if you made the salt dough. If you made the other clay, that's just air dry. It cannot be cooked. Okay, so this is only for the Play-Doh or the salt dough recipe that I gave last week. Good luck, get creative, take your time, experiment with some different stuff, and remember, please, please, please get parent permission before you put something in the oven. Okay, good luck, have fun, and I can't wait to see what you guys made. And don't forget to submit your projects. Have a great day.